Okay, so this stream, especially because I'm thinking about start streaming once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks in this channel, is about uh, mm, what I did this year in on YouTube. So I do a lot of videos. I try to keep up the rhythm of making videos and making videos and making videos. Uh, Eventually, it's kind of time consuming because there's a lot of research to be done, a lot of exercises and examples to be done, trying out plugins and trying out tools or figuring out best ways to present even the subject. So this year's review, come say hi. I'm live right now. Yes. Sorry, posting everywhere. You know how this is. And the whole issue sometimes with making a YouTube channel in my head, like I know there's like this top content or fast paced content that's usually like something came out and we're going to make our review out of it without even trying it out in the real world. Or sometimes people have been spending 6 years making another video about Sooth. And I know it's a slower grind the way I'm trying to do it. I know it is. But nevertheless, despite of this, I think it's the way I want to do it. Like, I'm pretty sure that no one needs just another Sooth video just because. Like, everyone knows about Sooth by now. It's been out for so many years. There's always someone new that will know for the first time about it. Like, yes, I know that. But I'm trying to figure out what small places I can start, like brushing up the edges of content that I have seen online and polishing a little bit of workflow. That's like my main, the main difference on the way I work in the real world, and that's what has got me into many places. So let's go into my Affinity Designer template of covers making for YouTube, and this will be a not so nice presentation because I don't have the screen real estate that I usually have. So let's just deal with it. Yes, let's just deal with it. I'm going to move this one here, and I have a chat that can be popped up, I think, somewhere, somehow. I used to have it. I know I used to have it. Oh, found it, found it, found it. It's this one. And now I can use it here and I can use it as an. How was it? How was it? How did I do this? It was browser. Yeah. Live chat. This one. Yes. There we go. And let's try this. Is this working? Oh, it's too big. It's way too big. No, I'm failing so hard. Okay, I don't remember how to do this. I will fix it, I promise. You will all live down here. Okay, so getting closer to the point, to the whole idea of what I'm trying to do. Uh, so I always try to plan out most of my content in different big categories or big umbrellas. What I'm trying to think of the next trimester also for 2025. And lucky for me, this year's content did well enough. Like it did really good. The search content did really well. If you're interested into synths or learning about synths, probably there's like two ways of approaching the synth education kind of thing. First, if you want a free synth, like just go look into my channel for this video, search part 1. That should be called something like yeah, this is fine, this is fine. Something like, it's, which one is it? Okay, this one. Search XT. Let's start diving free synth massive sounds, you know? And it's like a half an hour lesson on how to also make search look like this. Sorry about it. Uh, and it's like the basics of how to work this synth. But again, there are different ways that you can try and jump into learning synths. I think most of the people usually go through the, let's go through the anatomy of the synth itself, and let's go through the basic waveforms and the filters, and let's just make the basic sounds that have been made across music most of the time, that are imitating real world instruments, let's call them that. Uh, and you are approaching that from a historic point of view most of the times, I think, and always through the subtractive synthesis. That means that what we end up using are the oscillators, the sound sources, and we sculpt them using filters and envelopes, VCAs and filtering and envelopes and LFOs and such, to build something new, you know, like that works. But you can also try and teach synthesis from a way of learning how sound works. And that has a lot to do with listening through different stages, through time, through timbre, through color itself, voicings. Uh, so it's in my opinion, it's better to try and understand how to make the sounds that you're interested in at first. Like that makes more sense to me, uh, because it's probably much more exciting to try and get basically the first sounds that you know, and then try to figure out why those sounds could be exciting or how could you do them better. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that makes sense. Uh, Give me 1 second. Okay, so I think that's much more exciting. But again, this synth can be compared to Diva easily. Like, it's a really, really, really powerful synth. Like, you have no idea how big of a sounds you can build out of Surge. I also made another synth video for Pigments, because I have like a nice relationship with Arturia, and I do trust their plugins. Like, this video did really well. This is a free plugin that this year I got to know UV, and I got to know them because of, whoa, my memory is failing right now. How is Venus Theory? Yes, that's the name. Because of the Venus Theory channel, and I got to know UV because of him, and I've even bought a couple of things from them, and I'm paying the monthly subscription. Even though I don't like subscriptions, I really like that bundle. Like, it's super powerful. They had a couple of other releases. Um, this one was exciting, but I think it was more of a drum creative kind of thing. It probably doesn't work if you are not into making um, not natural drums, if that makes any sense. If you're looking for some kind of plugin, uh, is the if yeah if you're not working with analog drums, like this plugin or this video probably isn't for you. But if you're looking for interesting ear candy or sounds, like this plugin completely is for you. And it's not free, but you can use the demo for a while. Eventide had a couple of nice launches this year as well. It's always interesting to see what they're up to. Uh, and this video is honestly more of a masterclass on uh, building up modularly what kind of things you can do to delays. You know, like, for me, that makes a lot of sense in the learning process and in the sound designing stage that everyone is now talking about just because. Like sound designing for me is not like just putting a pedal on in front of a guitar, you know, like it has more to do with going deeper into some stuff and learning how to handle and manage this amount of stages, because all of these small modules can be built or can be used by building only an FX chain. You know, like if you have, oh, yeah, if you just have your track and you're trying to build something like this, what you only have like left and right channels, and you can go into pitch shifting and then go into an LFO that modifies the shifting um, range and frequency of the shifting, and then you can assign envelopes and such, and you can do all of that inside of Reaper by just adding a lot of plugins here. For example, let's use something like, I don't know, I'm going to use something like Shimmer. And there's something that always makes me wonder why people, I don't know, maybe I'm just being myself in that sense, but let's suppose I have that, and then I have these two. Whoop, yeah, Chorus Juno, yeah. I'm just dragging plugins to show you like small chain that you could try. Yeah, I'm not worrying too much about the actual sound that will come out of it. Yeah, okay. So for this to work, it's easier to see it like this. So you can build something that using the plugin connector, this is really important in Reaper. I think it's super useful. Using the plugin connector, what you can do with this is maybe the shimmer verb, you want it to only affect the left side, and the mangle verb, you want it to affect only the right side, you know. Then this one, the chorus dimension, they will only affect the left side, and the Juno will only affect the right side. And then the filter mini will affect both sides. Oh, come on. The both sides, you know? So you can start building FX chains that in series, they could look like too many plugins. But once you start sounding them out and thinking about how you're using your left and your right channels, and when you're summing and when you're splitting your signal, you can get some crazy effects that sound so unique. Again, you have to get creative and you have to start like getting into it. Artur is always pushing their augmented series. They are only instruments, like they are interesting enough, but they are only instruments. And PSP released this free reverb that I think it's still free for now, and it's the previews, or it's something that builds into PSP Easy Verve. PSP Easy Verve. I should have it. Maybe I haven't installed it in my laptop yet. That's probably it. Yeah, but let me look it up right here. Oh, PSP Easy Verve. Easy Verve is like a really easy to use plugin. Like the name itself is self-explanatory, and they took out one of the algorithms, that's Chamber, and they made it free. Uh, their plugins, to be honest, are super powerful. You can do so much with them. They have all of the collection that you might need for probably more. I think the issue with why PSP isn't like hitting so hard commercially is because maybe they are just not pushing so much into marketing, and they don't have these fancy looking interfaces, but I think they're so straight to the point. Like they just go into the main parameters that you need at hand. And I'm such a fan of Infinistrip. I'm been using that so much, like so much. And their Springbox, it's like one of the best Spring Rivers that I've heard. Also, Piano Verve, it's free and you can download that one, and it sounds great. It's super cool. I highly suggest that you try that one out. I still have to spend some time with Xenon, Flare, Impressor, like many of their plugins. But they have like really interesting plugins, and they sound super good. Like there's no question about it. I don't think there's too much to fight about the idea of analog sound and digital sound. I think they just sound fine. Like that's what it is. Vintage Warmer, I think it's a great plugin, but it's not so easy to use in my head. Like you can get a sound out of it that works, yes, but if you're trying to know what will happen before you even move uh, a knob, I think it's not as easy as other plugins because there are many parameters to think of. You know, like so many things to think of. uh, well, yeah, here 2024 roundup. I did a lot of content on Reaper. I don't remember which was the first video I did on Reaper education this year. I'm not really sure. Let me share on the Reaper. Uh, this one. Wait. Will, are you still there? Well, can you share my stream on the Reaper Discord? Like, if you are free, like, uh, there, did it. Honestly, like, every time I end up using Reaper for like just working and not trying to figure out more ways to work with it, uh, I have learned or I have found always something that fascinates me, I think, in the sense that Reaper is an open canvas, you know, like it's simply an open canvas. For example, right now I'm trying again these narrow mixer tracks. And I'm trying them because wait, I'm just realizing that I lost chat. Here it is. Oh, Davi. Hello, hello. How are you, Davi? I'm trying again these narrow tracks because I keep finding myself handling sessions that are 80, 90 tracks, over 100 tracks. And I always want to have, like, at hand a really easy way to just find my tracks, you know? So I'm trying this one, like these narrow tracks. I do miss the idea of the fader because that's something I really like. I really like that. So I don't know if I'll stick to it because I want my faders. Like I really want them. Yeah. But having this blank canvas forces you as a user to either find some sort of template that works for you, and we can talk a lot about templates, or find the time to more or less know what you're looking for, and that implies that you're some sort of uh, self motivating user that you know that you want to do something like this and you're willing to go into the action list and search for the action that will let you do a couple of things that aren't maybe at plain sight, you know, or in this case of the Reaper, the theme adjuster, narrow form, you know, like maybe working with something like this, like trying to figure out what do you want to see and how much do you want to see it for. For example, since I'm also doing live sound, I'm also thinking a lot about which channels do I always want to have at hand or at sight. Like I'm always thinking about it and how fast can I move towards them. On Ableton Live, for example, what I usually do is if I have some sort of folders, let's call them like this aux1, let's call this aux2, and let's call this aux3, you know, like if this is a much bigger session, what I want to do is to be able to jump from one track to another without having to scroll across the session. Let's do it like that, without having to scroll through the session like this, you know, because it can be super clunky, like, or it can be super slow. And I don't know, like if on Ableton Live, what I usually do is I map my main bosses, for example, my vocal boss, my drums boss, to numbers like across my keyboard, 1 2 3 4 5. uh, I usually don't go above 8 for most of the time, most of the times. And it's easier to navigate on bigger sessions like that. Otherwise, like, you always end up needing more and more and more just because, and that never that never works, I think. So there are some actions that, like, I don't know, go to track, you know, uh, and I would have to go and find some action that lets me save track selection, save track. Yeah, like you have to do this. Mm, say, like you have to find some way. Yeah, like you have to find ways to navigate the session itself or to handle the things that you want to do. I'm planning a lot of videos, or I want to make a couple of videos on how to think your workflow. I know most of the users don't necessarily have the same needs that I do, but how to even take advantage of something that could seem. Wait, oh, it's locked. That's why. Uh, how to take advantage of stuff like this, of media items versus media items, and how to take advantage of them when you're trying to think something or learn something that you're listening for, like planning out stuff. If you're trying to learn something, like one of my plans for 2025 is how to take advantage of Reaper when you're trying to learn stuff, how to make stuff, how to build sounds, how to plan out recordings or productions, or even electronic music. Like, I don't have an issue with that. I know many people think uh, other in different ways, but I honestly don't care. Music is music. So it's it's interesting enough to understand or to see that Reaper is a blank canvas in that way. I'm also going to spend a lot of time, or enough time, finally tweaking most of my main toolbars that I'm using most of the time, like polishing that, because in the end, what you want is to make your sketchboard to let it, um, to not get in the way of you trying to lay down ideas, if that makes any sense. Like, you just want to open Reaper and throw things at it, and don't let it get in the way. For example, David, that does a lot of electronic music, I have talked a lot about track templates, or I have mentioned track templates a lot. I don't know if you're using them, David, but like, they are super useful. For example, also the idea of when to let go of modulation when using synths, and when to start using automation is like an interesting barrier to think about, uh, because most plugins will let you. Let's change this. Oh, wait, which was okay? Yes, that's fine. So whatever I'm moving, I can just start opening the envelopes and start automating stuff, like I can start doing stuff. And sometimes, like, playing with the automation modes as well will let you go back into a modified sound, back to the beginning, but it's like a smooth transition into that sound. It's not super aggressive, like just snapping back and forth or editing a lot of automation items or doing this and that. I still don't really get used to destroying automations on Reaper. I don't know. I just don't get it so much. It's still feeling a little bit strange to me. But I have also invested a couple of a bit of time doing these automation lanes that I made a video on it. Uh, but I think it's no, no. Why is this not? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have like shortcuts on my keyboard to make this envelope you know. And this is a lot faster. And I did that using shortcuts. Like, you have to invest time of that. For example, command plus option plus number pad envelope from 0 to minimum ramp. That means from 0, and that's something that you have to take time in and to realizing what is it going to do. 0 means like the cross line, you know, and sometimes some parameters don't behave the same because some parameters of some plugins are thinking of that 0 line being like 100%, let's call it 100%, this uh, like this on the left will be 100%, right? So some plugins are thinking or of this position as a 100%, but you have to think how that relates to 0 to minimum ramp or minimum. That's really important, you know. Like if I apply that minimum to 0, you know, like it does this. So some parameters might behave differently, and you have to take that into account. And it's easier to just create slopes out of this, you know, or if you just want to build or load automation curves that you find useful, you can just look for the actions of, well, you can just right click it as well. I think it's insert points. Yeah, you could insert points or insert shapes, but I think the automation items are faster. So for example, I have a filter high pass, and that's like an automation lane that I usually use because an automation item that I usually use because most of the times my high pass can be done across two bars, you know, and this works. Or maybe I just want to use automation items, load, this one, you know. And again, if you're thinking about the ways that you can do this a little bit faster, is that if you're taking advantage also about of the razor edits, as you can see, because I'm holding my option modifier, I can now modify this curve a lot better, like a lot better, because I can make some strange modifications to the curve itself. I can even grab it by the edges and make it, oh, wait, there's the hand, and I can make it longer or shorter without having to just deal with this bottom side where it can start looping, you know, because there are some properties in the automation items where you can make the automation loop, play rate, yes, cool. And now I can start doing this, you know. I also spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to navigate easier across my sessions. Like that's super important. How to do like zoom outs and zoom ins. Like I've invested a lot of time on that because every single time that I was navigating bigger sessions, I realized that I was getting lost everywhere. So I don't want you to be dealing with that. So that's why I have a ton of videos on my main toolbar, recording offsets, tempo mapping, takes and complaints. The global sampler is an interesting thing. I still have to get used to my icons because I did them, but I don't use them so much. Where's my sampler? It's this one? No, pick display. Uh, See, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Repeat. Key snapping, buffer size. No. Which one was it? Music math, markers, normalize items. Oh, global sampler. Like it's just written. Like it's not. And for example, something strange happened with my computer that now my mouse helper is not behaving properly. So sometimes I have to restart it. Okay, so I made it text, so that's why I don't always find it. So I have to find a better way to do that. And it's a buffer that you can sample anytime. Like you just grab something and drag it into Reaper and it's there. It's audio, you know, like it's just there. It's as easy as that. What else? What else? uh, oh yeah, like the render matrix. Like I love that thing so much. I've been doing a lot of recordings of the place where I'm working at. So let me show you one of those. File. Wait, no, it should be around here. Yeah, I've been recording some amazing bands on the live shows. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. So, for example, okay, so here's the recording session, right? Let it build up. Let it build up. So, any of the subjects that I show right now, like you can just let me know in the comments if you're interested in learning more of that. So please let me know in the comments. It helps me a lot to plan out my content and to make content that's helpful for you, because that's the only reason I'm making content, you know? Otherwise, I wouldn't even have social media. Okay, it looks super big because I have the zoom waveform on, because I always want to be sure that I'm looking at it properly. And for example, again, thinking a little bit about workflow, sometimes I do want to have this huge uh, colored waveform, so I have to build some sort of cycle action that selects all of my tracks, changes the color to black, and then changes the peak uh, color into spectral. Well, the peak display into spectral. And when I'm not using this, I want all of my tracks to go back into the usual colors that I use and display as gray the waveforms. So that's useful. So I'm recording probably like hour and a half to 2 hours shows. I even did a recording of Elijah Fox, Yusef Days, and Solomon Fox, and like that was huge for me, among other gigs that I got to do for this year. And this end up being like multi tracks. Like here it is. Check again. Here it is. So I always end up doing something like this, that if the artist doesn't share the set list with me, like I don't know the name of the tracks always, so I'll just send this track 1, track 2, track 3, track 5, and all of this is around 9 gigas almost, like it's big. Let me lower the faders of this, and let me check if you will listen to this. Let's check this. Okay, you have to listen to Reaper. Why is Reaper not here? Reaper, Reaper. Here we go. Okay, so it's only going into channel 1 and 2. Yes, and I don't want you to mute it. Okay, let me check this. It should be working.
To get back in the groove, yeah. Like the way you do it, way you do.
Okay, so let me balance that a little bit really fast with my faders.
Just can't. When you get down, you get down. Ain't no turning back, no. Everybody party, to get back in the groove, yeah. Like the way you do it, way you do it. I like the way you move, yeah.
Okay.
Just can't. When you get down, you get down. Ain't no turning back, no. Everybody party.
When I'm dealing with recordings like this, what might happen is, for example, this Like this is super, super low. So you have options, like you always have options. You can even like select all of these and all of these and just normalize. Please remember that normalizing doesn't mean only one thing. Where is it? Where is it? Ah, I know I had. I know. Where is it? Mm, track spacer. No. Free items. Mm, oh, this one. TruePic -9. Yeah. So sometimes it's better to just increase the gain transparently without adding any distortion or processing, because the only thing that you want is the actual sound out of it. So this track, that's why I don't like the black tracks, because I always keep on clicking, see, the track properties or something. That's the only reason I don't like it. For example, that's nice, right? And it's horrible to be dealing with stuff like that, because some of these things, like, they could be super useful, but this is the only way some artists will start believing me, and some of them have, like most of them by now have. But when I'm talking about, like, let's use better cables, unless they listen to the recording, they won't believe me. Because, for example, this is a keyboard, like, just plugged into an amplifier, and this has a lot of noise. And the only way to get rid of that noise is to use better cables, you know? Like, that's the only way to get rid of it. But for example, if I only concentrate on my drum recording, let's use this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, it's this, right? So this drummer is fire, you know, like it's crazy. He's crazy good. And honestly, most of these recordings end up being some sort of archiving stuff, you know, like more than anything else. So, for example, the thing that I did for Elijah Fox ended up looking something like this. Let me multi-tracks, Elijah Fox, here it is. But I've done a session of that. I think it's this one. No, this is the whole recording. Oh no, it's this one. It's this one. So this is what I mean when I'm talking about huge sessions, you know? Like this is Solomon and Elijah Fox, like just playing around for 1 hour and a half, you know, like playing their own material, their own songs. And this is all of the preparation for the mixing session, you know? Like it's crazy. Like you have to be organized. Otherwise, it will eat you alive. You know, like sessions can get super big, and workflow is my thing. Like, trust me on that. Pick display, you know. And this is what I mean. Sometimes you don't need so many colors. Sometimes you just need to see that there's sound, you know. And I used to believe a lot in the spectral peaks all of the time, but now I don't. And that's part of being a minimum sk- skills engineer, because you know how to adapt. Like you have to learn how to adapt to different situations. Okay, I think I was getting off topic, but mm, that's why I have so many videos on workflow and so many videos where I'm trying to teach you how to think, or what's my thought process behind making certain decisions. I did a video that someone added a comment uh, where they said that they really liked the way I precisely presented the stream flow of my thinking of how I'm building the sessions, or why I'm. Oh, it's this one. It's this one. Four strategies to start making music. And I was talking about, for example, to start with the melody, or to start with the chords, or to start with a rhythmic pattern, or to start in different ways. And the whole idea behind this is there are different skills that you might need for making music in 2025 and for the rest of the time that you just want to make music. And one of those is to be able to just lay down ideas. Like, just lay them down. It doesn't matter. Like, they don't have to be good, they don't have to be bad. They just have to be ideas, and you just have to lay them down. And the way you start making choices, once you started laying down those ideas, then that's when uh, I think that's one of the stages where most people also have no idea where to look to, because they just know how to make 4-bar loops or 8-bar loops, and from there they don't know how to build a song. And maybe you have a song structure that's longer, like maybe you have a stronger song structure that you already have, because you have your verse and you have your chorus and your pre-chorus or a bridge or something. But then you don't know how to start making more choices, because now you have a lot of things going on. And since you have a lot of things going on, like, what do you do now? Like, that's one of the things that you can really, really take advantage of. uh, and that's why I like talking about the process of making decisions. That's why I constantly talk about how important it is to have some sort of ecosystem or system or environment where the only thing that should matter is, can you trust your judgment? Like, that's the only thing that matters, because bringing ideas into a session is nothing else than just going with a vibe or trying to find a pattern that you like or a sound that you like. There are enough presets across plugins that sound absolutely incredible. And that's not an issue. Like, we have enough sounds to make music. For example, I'm migrating my whole libraries, my virtual instrument libraries, into one single external solid state disk, right? So I have right now this amount of space taken only by libraries. And those are Ableton Live packs, SoundPaid libraries, UV libraries, Arturia libraries, Spitfire, and UV. And I don't even have everything from everyone, and I'm already taking almost 500 gigs. Like, that's crazy. I don't think people 50 years ago needed 2,000 different instruments, because in the end, most people eventually end up deciding what's the texture or the ensemble that they need. For example, guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, and vocals. And that thing works for so many styles. Sometimes you use two guitars and you drop the keyboard, but they are still guitars. Yes, one might be different than the other, and they might be different brands with different pickups and different gauges of the strings, and yes, but they are two guitars. So why do we need 2,000 instruments? Like, why? Is it even necessary? And I think that's one of the things that usually ends up blocking out a lot of the creativity out of synth making music. Because I have seen and I have talked to enough people that make music with synths that only think of synths as synth sounds. And it's like, yes, but there are pads. Yes, but what kind of pads? Like, we can narrow it down a little bit better so you can select the palette that you want to use for your music, for whatever music you're trying to make. So maybe you want to make music with these instruments. You want a pad, you want within the whole drum set, you might want to use a kick, You might want to think of the challenge of making music without a snare. So let's ignore the snare for a moment. Let's think about cymbals overall. That includes hi-hats, rides and crashes. And you want a bass. Maybe you want a lead sound, but what kind of lead sound? You want, let's call it like a string lead. Let's call it that. And you want to explore that texture in music making. And then you can think of what genres could you make with that. Because some genres rely so much on the snare that it would be really hard to make certain genres without a snare. You know what I mean? So going through that thought process, I think can really get you a lot further down with your practice time, with making music, with building your own sound, because that's something that many people are obsessed with. Uh, but you have to start building your palette out of it. And that also includes starting to build a favorite list of the sounds that you really, really like and that are really useful. And it's fine. You don't need different sounds for every single song. Like, again, music hasn't been done every single time with different sounds. Uh, like, just look at the records. They end up using specific guitars for many songs for many years, and they do take advantage of the technology that they have at hand. Of course, they do, but they are not switching completely everything in every song. They are tweaking small things here and there to make the sounds work across the record. So let's explore that also on 2025. Like, that's one of the things that I want to explore with you. Also, mic selection for starting music makers, because I don't have a huge studio, I don't have a huge mic collection. I know a couple of things about microphones. I'm not specialized in microphones, but I can make choices. And I want to help you with that. Oh, this video, I really liked it. The media items, audio handling. Uh, like, just go into my channel, look at the titles, look at the thumbnails, see what kind of things that you are attracted more the most. These kind of videos that are some basic things that everyone could find useful any given time. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career or hobby. Like, this is useful for everyone. Many of the videos that I'm making are actually meant to be useful for you without your moment in your music making. Uh, have a good night, Debbie. Thanks for being around. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah. Woo. Thanks for stopping by. uh, so yeah, like, this video, I believed so much in it, and it failed so hard. I don't know, the algorithm, maybe my presentation, something failed, but I believe so much in that video. Like, I've had so many students that come to me and are not sure of some details that might seem basic for some, but again, like, there's no stupid questions. Like, there's absolutely no stupid questions. And the sooner we get ourselves at ease with that, the sooner we will get better at learning and being self loving with our own processes. So, like, just let go the whole idea of having to know stuff just because. Uh, just go into my channel, figure out what titles are more attractive to you. As you can see, I have like a color idea or color scheme of how my content is been organized. If you want to learn about Reaper, look for these bluish grayish videos. If you want to learn about third-party plugins, look for these greenish videos or these uh, reddish purplish videos. If you want to learn uh, about some concepts of production and listening skills, go into the pink videos. And some creative thoughts about my own process are in yellow. So just go into it, See if there's something useful for you. I hope there is. Uh, I hope this live stream does get somewhere. Like, I just wanted to do this without much thought into it. And have a great start of the year. I would suggest that you could plan out a little bit of your year. It's always really useful. Uh, Take advantage of it. Like, don't worry too much about, is this a right move? Like, whatever you're feeling right now, because whatever your situation is, like, just go with that. Your gut knows best. I think that makes sense. Yeah, your gut knows best. Yeah, like, there's not much more to say. I could ramble on so many things, but there's not much more to say. It was great seeing everyone in chat. Thanks for stopping by, Will, Davi, and probably people that were just lurking around. Great talking to you. And stay tuned and wait for the next video. Some great things are coming, and let's keep on learning. Let's keep on enjoying what we do. Yeah, that's the less climatic stream. It's probably the less, and it's probably the most anticlimactic stream that I've done. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Like, it doesn't matter. No one's looking. No one's looking. Like, just put your things out, put your music out there, do it, because no one's watching, and do it for yourself. Don't do it for the others. Don't waste your creativity and your emotions on others, because they are not looking. Have a great beginning of the year. Straight from Mexico City, my name is Juanchis, and I'll see you soon.